Good morning once again and good to have you back. You're still watching Smart Means Business. This is Smart 24 Television. We kick off this hour with our business tips and quotes. And right now, besides that, we turn our eyes to the social media trends. Well, amongst our social media trends this morning, we take a look at what the Ugandans on Twitter and elsewhere had to say in regards to the issue to do with money. Now, the conversations around money was sparked off with the fact that on Friday, another shooting in Uganda by a security officer, or you could say a security personnel, this time around a policeman in the country, at the Raja Chambers in Kampala after he actually showed down a money lender. These conversations rotating around money sparked off on Twitter and on various social media platforms to definitely see or come to a conclusion in regards to what should someone do in regards to safeguarding their own money. Now let's have more of that from our social media trends this morning to see what the Ugandans had to say. Now Chuck at Boekula Prodi with a tweet that hope a day shall come and we talk about these money lenders and how they seem to exploit people. That is according to Chuck at Boekula Prodi, saying hope a day shall come and we talk about how these money lenders exploit people. Now, Paris the Alpha, 4 out of 14 at _Paradise Paris 1 says, it feels good paying every bill and having money left over. That's according to what Paris the Alpha, 4 out of 14 had to reveal in that tweet. She says, it feels good paying every bill and having your money left over after paying that bill. Now, Adekunle read one with a tweet regarding the Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of the famous novels, saying that Poor Dad said that the love of money is the root of all evil. And Rich Dad said, the lack of money is the root of all evil. Who do you listen to? That is according to what was highlighted in there, according to Adekunle read one, highlighting or quoting Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now, the Spectator Index with a tweet breaking, Bloomberg reports that Zimbabwe has used almost 140 kilograms of gold to back the first sale of its digital money. And of course, more changes in Zimbabwe continuing in there. That is according to what the Spectator Index has to say in regards to the same. Now at Dhaka Skinner, Bradley Carl 256 says MTN Mo Sente watching money lenders getting shot for asking their money back. So that is according to what Dhaka Skinner tweeted in regards to the same matter, rotating around the use of money. And then furthermore, as we continue, still with the social media trends, as you can definitely get to look at it. Senga at Carl_SE says, you still get money from your parents. You only feel adulthood is a scam when they forget to pay your bills. That is Senga at Carl_SE with the details in regards to the same. And then at Bozineta 0811, at some point we need to quit asking who needs to pay more taxes and focus on where the hell all of our money is going. So he says that at some point we need to quit asking who needs to pay more taxes and then focus on where the hell is our money going. That is according to what has been highlighted in here. Now, Loretta Crypto at Loretta Crypto says, if you spend money every day, then you should be ready to make money every day. Well, that can actually be a very huge quote for the starters or for beginners as we kickstart of the week, that if you're spending more money, if you spend money every day, then you should be ready to make more money. And well, that's it for our social media trends this morning. The question is, however, how much money are you making on a daily? Is it the same amount of money that you are spending as an individual? Because that tweet is a huge challenge to all of us. That if you're spending more money every day, then that means you should be making more money every day. That means you should be enlarging your revenue streams, if I am to put it in that way. So you need to make sure that the money that you're bringing in as an individual is the same amount of money or is lesser than the amount of money that you're spending on a daily. Although we tend to spend more than we do earn, but the question is, where do we get the money coming in from? The week is just getting started, and of course, Smart Means Business is also just getting started. Andrew Berigi now joins me on set as we continue to give you more details in regards to business as we backtrack the National Development Plan 3 vis-a-vis the launch of the National Development Plan 4, which is quite ahead of us in the next financial year. Good morning, Andrew. Many thanks for joining us here.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you.
Yes, it is what you could definitely see. I was actually still looking back at that tweet that was actually saying that if you're making money on a daily, if you're spending money on a daily, then that means you should be ready to invest, or you should be able to make more money.
Yeah, actually, that because so many times we work in this concept of I need to save money, I need to save money. But nobody talks about increasing income.
I know.
Because, like it or not, if you say that you're going to be saving money, that means the time is going to reach, and okay, if you say that you're going to be saving money, it's like you've set your mind that you're going to have a static income.
True.
You know, but when you know that, okay, if I need something, I need it. If I need to pay these bills, because as life progresses, the different levels we get to have different demands that come with that. So it's important. Actually, that's a very bad mindset. Saving income, increase. You know, increase. Find ways of increasing, creating more avenues where you can generate much more money.
Well, very true. Now we turn our eyes to the National Development Plan 3 as we're backtracking its performance and how things have been working. You get to look at the fact that initially it was focused on poverty reduction. Is it doing enough? Though?
But it's not, because of course when we actually in the morning call the report was regarding about
50%
Ugandans who are likely to slide back to poverty. And these are statistics from the World Bank. You know, last time, do you remember we had a conversation with Hanifa here, and we were talking about statistics that are being released by our planning authorities within this country. And sometimes I would love to do a comparison between those statistics and the World Bank, because the World Bank literally does report. It has officials around the country and really indicates. And me, that wasn't a surprise. Yeah,
because at least it is something that is very practical. My notice has been that this looks very practical in the way we look at things now. Because when the World Bank said 50% of these Ugandans that were normally identified as well-to-do off.
Well-to-do off, yes.
And by the last trend of 5 years, after COVID-19, everyone was slapped differently.
Exactly.
The economy slapped us quite differently. That means, one, people lost their jobs, or companies decreased the salaries just to cut on the production costs and everything.
Laying
For
off
those
workers.
that laid off those who are retained had to comply with what the company was offering at the time.
Yeah,
so you realize, but the cost of living was just increasing in the long run.
Absolutely
Your incomes are decreasing, but what you're supposed to spend is just increasing. So this is something that the World Bank has actually been able to notice, and I think it is very practical. And if you observe, forget the statistics where some of the ministers tell us Ugandans are now officially getting
into the middle income.
Besides that most of the Ugandans are now living poverty. Because those are some of the statements that were being discussed a few years, just last year.
Yeah, very true. And actually, sometimes, you see, when you look around and you look at all these buildings constructed, okay, because questions might be there, how comes we are seeing construction moving on and the country is underdeveloped? People are rich. But it's useless to have all that when they don't have backup. And it's also important to know who are the majority that are doing this. It shows you the center of distribution of income. I mean, the income inequality gap is way too big. But of course, we shall still attribute this to the other factors. Because when you go down there and you interact with majority of the business personnel and all that, they are telling you their biggest problem right now is taxation. The taxation environment is quite unfriendly. Looking about the country's state of infrastructure also, by the way, speaks a lot. Because show me a country which has a stable infrastructure. Of course, transport and communication are key. And I'll show you a country which has a steady progress. It may not be up there, but at least there is consistency. The curve is a little bit promising and friendly. Something which we haven't embraced in our country, Uganda. And I believe the poverty eradication plan of the National Development Plan 3, in my opinion, because if we are to backtrace, it's before we take a look at the National Development Plan 4.
I know.
How far have we gone in terms of achieving 3? The only pillar that I feel like we've tried to go deeper and take hold of is the aspect of innovation. Because since we see it's one of the visions of 2040.
Yes.
We're gonna be, but that is not enough. You cannot rely on that. And also, if the fact that we notice that at least we have a steady progress in some pillar, we have weakness of, it's always, can I say, the people who are benefiting in that sector already, according to the look of Uganda. It stays always there, other than attracting much more masses, like the government attracting much more people to get to involve in this sector. Because when they involve here, their livelihood is going to change.
True.
And once it changes, that means they're going to get jobs, they're going to get money, they're going to pay taxes. And that means the National Development Plan 3 goal, or whatever intention goal of employment, poverty eradication, can be fulfilled when a certain sector, which seems to be gaining an upper hand, people involved and perfect it, because now we don't look at domestic market consumption. I mean, there are quite regional markets which we are opening up to, and there is plenty of space. But the point is, how are we positioned as Ugandans? But also we want to be positioned, but the environment doesn't favor that whole aspect. If you're to look, probably we could trace back to the different, from the launch of the National Development Plan 3, that was 2014 and 2015, and we take a look at the previous performances. How have they impacted to the economy ever since they were put out there? Okay. Now, we are backtracking NDP. NDP, now this is impact on NDP on SDGs. I would request the producer to give us the aspect of tracking back the impact of the National Development Plan. That is something we shall look into actually later. That's another aspect. That one, exactly. You see that 2010 to 2011, 2014, 2015, now that was National Development Plan 1. Uganda's economy grew at an average rate of 5.4% per annum, and poverty reduced from 31.1 to 19.7%. Well, like I always say, these are observations that are locally made, locally observed. But anyway, I'll say between 2020, before COVID-19, I think unemployment wasn't really it was already experienced, but at least it was a little bit friendly, because when I looked at the unemployment trend, I realized that the curve increased further when it came to 2020, going to the extreme end, extreme highs. But for these past years, it was there, but it was moderate. It was maintained actually throughout those years. Well, so that is the National Development Plan 1. Then, if we to look at the NDP 2, we are talking about 2019-2020. Of course, this was aimed to propel Uganda towards middle income status through industrialization. Middle income status, remember some time back when there was a proposal to that, but of course it was discovered we are nowhere even close to that. So there is no success towards that. Industrialization. I think we've not, according to the look of things, we see investors being given land on a daily basis, but we don't see what comes out of there. Well, hope they are planning something out there, but the aspect of industrialization, the rate at which we were industrialized before this NDP was put there, nothing has changed. Then there is infrastructure development. That one we on the side of because infrastructure is wide anyway. But looking at the transportation infrastructure, that has been so horrible. And human capital development. I think here we've tried to human capital development because I look at this in terms of if I can attribute to the recent launch of the satellite of seeing Ugandans who were in position to actually go to an institute in Japan and get capital development, because you as a person, you're the first capital,
because you have to you have to focus on yourself, one, investing in your mindset, you invest in the kind of business you're doing, how you market it, how you talk about your business. So I think it's something that we all need to understand more in regards to human capital.
Very true. And I believe in a state like this of the economy, it's the way out, because what is going to distinguish you amongst every person that has degree, all this, is how far have you gone to invest in yourself beyond a degree, and now this comes back to time. Time is important. How do you spend? How do we spend our time? Do we spend our time worrying about the economy, how it's treating us, and you think about that is okay, it's human. But of course now it comes to a place whereby you accept it. You're like, it's there. But then, am I going to stay like this forever? Let me invest in myself. So human capital development is very key, and I guess it's something that we have really embraced as a country, Uganda. Now, I said human capital development, and now during this period, the economy continued to grow, averaging to 6.2%, that is per annum, and the poverty rate reduced further at 17.2%. And now the plan also contributed to improvements in infrastructure such as roads, energy, water supply, and increased investment in education. The common aspect here I'm observing is poverty reduction. Remember the report which was released by the World Bank about people not earning above 1 million? I think it was a certain percentage.
That is for us.
For us,
for Uganda, for Uganda. Only 1% are earning more than 1 million.
Exactly. So what does that really? And actually, that report came out this year. But even I remember in 2021, the Bank of Uganda still put out that report. So that means if the bank puts out that means this is something that has been followed over for 10 years. Like a trend, and tracing back to the same times ever since the first National Development Plan was launched. So now the question comes in, what are we formulating all these as formalities? Now we are talking about National Development Plan 4, but the NDP3 has quite lots of loopholes, which in my opinion, which I feel like should be rectified before we can say that we move on. Otherwise, it will be just a waste of resource and time. Because the paperwork involved in developing all these, the human resource, the labor planning, the strategizing, all those are resources. But you need to also get to understand, I've put in all this to formulate this. What am I getting back from it? What am I getting back from it? This is because when you this is like planning for a project. You give in your whole, you give in your whole best, but it's not regardless the period of time you've given it. You need to see something coming out of that. Yeah.
Now, as we continue, let's as well have a look at the impact of the national development plans again, to try at least establish the fact that as we are getting into NDP 4, how much of the impact has National Development Plan 3 had, or how much has the other plans had in the country here?
Yeah, well, of course, getting into that, we shall, I think, take a look at the standard. How has it impacted the standard development goals? Because however much we try to put up all this, we should realize that there is the bigger macroeconomy, the determinant factor, and in most cases, whatever it's like how we see that there is a global climate finance change, climate change.
Yes.
So it's important for every government to position yourself of involving climate financing within the budgets that you're putting out there. That will ease flow of funds into that, into the country, which may not only just facilitate climate change, but also other factors. So now these are what we call now the Standard Development Goals, and which of course were established by the United Nations. They focus on industry, innovation, infrastructure, and of course so many other aspects. Now let's take a look at how the National Development Plan, briefly, how has it impacted on the standard development goals? Yes, now NDP 3 improved the overall SDG attainment by 10.1%. Is anticipated actually, that is by 2030.
Yeah.
That's in Uganda. So we still have 7 years to see that reality. Now we see that standard development goal 9, that's which includes industry, innovation, and infrastructure, improves the most with National Development Plan 3. Literally improved the most. But at the time, this is what I explained earlier. Though the infrastructure bit of it, if we are to relate it to the innovation infrastructure, that is okay. We've really done our best to see that. Then SDG 1. Of course, we see an SDG 8. We'll take a look also, show marked improvement so means the Standard Development Goal 1 and Standard Development Goal 6 of the of the SDGs were kind of the policies implemented by the National Development Plan 3 accelerated its success, in other words. So I think, and quite so many, as we had to take a look there and see, how it was showing up. Now we see increased productivity, that is Standard Development Goal 9, but it is driven by, it is driven down by increased material consumption. And of course, finally, additional expenditure on terrestrial, that is protection, and reforestation is not enough to stop declining the trend of performance, that is in SDGs 11, 13, and 15. So, of course, still according here, we see that the NDP 3 interventions were not enough to stop the anticipated decline of some of the SDGs. Looking at the aspect of SDG 11, including sustainable communities, SDG 13, climate action, and SDG 15, life on land. Even though National Development Plan 3 interventions have led to increased productivity, this is offset by increased material consumption in other indicators within SDG 8, leading to a decline in its overall performance. Now, this is NDP 3.
Yeah. and see, because when you look at the first two NDPs, they actually contributed to improvements in social services, infrastructure development, and increased foreign investment. That is what they targeted, and they were able to at least contribute to some improvements as well. So we're now looking at NDP 3, which was looking at addressing the highest challenges of unemployment. It does not seem like it has addressed them enough.
Honestly, that one I entirely agree with you, and it's just creating much more worries and more tension and insecurities, because people have jobs, but they're not sure they're going to retain these jobs tomorrow. Now, okay, at least this thing is two-way, Joram. If I'm not certain of employment, or I'm not employed, at least let the person who is in the employment sector be assured of job security.
True.
And that is an environment that, as a government, you create, through increased support of the economy, so that you be on your job and you feel safe.
Yeah.
You know, that is also
so it's it's something that we steadily don't have in the country, and of course that is actually creating a very huge rise of worry for most of the Ugandans. But that aside, now as we're heading to the break, remember to grow your investments and be part of the growing world of investments in the country by using the Zabo platform. *292# is the USSD code that you definitely need to use. Kickstart of your investment with Zabo. Zabo says, my money, my future. All Tech East Africa, do something new. And well, what something new can you do today is by using the *292# to follow the prompts, and of course follow all you definitely need to be able to experience with Zabo. The markets are fully open. They are officially opened at 8:15 a.m. and closing time at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. They're only fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays, but the rest of the days you can invest and grow your investments with the platform Zabo. My money, my future. All Tech East Africa, do something new. Well, after the break, we shall be getting the latest from sports business and, of course, the latest from the entertainment business with Andrew Berigi here. Good morning. Stick around.